I'm in Tunbridge Wells today. I've been delivering training for a setting that have a reputation for being good at supporting children identified as having special educational needs and disabilities. It's brilliant. And at the end of the day, a group of staff stayed behind and they were having a kind of whispered discussion. And then one of them turned around and said, actually, we should ask you this. And what they had been discussing was that at various points in the day, my advice had directly contradicted advice they'd been given from other outside expert specialists who'd been sent in to tell them what to do with a particular child. And they say that and you think, oh, what did I say that was wrong? Because I learn all the time, and I know that there is stuff that I've said on training days in the past that I disagree with now, because I build a day that is to the best of my knowledge. It's based on the research that I've read. New research gets done, new things get found out. It's based on my experience. I have more experience, and so I update the days. And I was kind of braced for what part of today do I need to update? Because these other specialists, I presume, I automatically presume that they know more and they've got more. You're like, oh gosh, I've said the wrong thing. And then they told me some of the examples, and there was a pattern to the way in which I had contradicted not just one other specialist, but various people who had come in. And my contradiction was that I always respected the bodily autonomy of children, that the advice had been to hold the child's hands to make them do something, or to strap them into a chair to make them stay seated for snack time. And I suddenly felt a whole lot more confident. Like, oh, right, yeah, no, I am very clear on my point. Overriding the bodily autonomy of other people, children, adults, not okay. You have to have a really, really good reason, generally to do with the physical safety of someone, not just because you want them to do an activity or you want them to sit when they eat their snack. So yes, it's a tricky situation. They were saying, how do we know who to listen to? And that was an interesting question as well, because you well, obviously you should listen to me, but actually I'm not so clear. There are plenty of people who know more about things that I talk about than I do. So I wouldn't necessarily want people to listen to me. And I was thinking, how do you pick? And there's two things I would look for in this situation. So the advice that was being given about an autistic person. I would look for somebody who has read contemporary autism research, who has a connection with the autistic community, who is updating their knowledge about autism from current sources, because what we were told about autism 10 years ago is massively out of date now. So you could be a super qualified 10 years worth of experience 10 years ago person and have out of date knowledge that you're handing out. And I think in one of the situations today, that was definitely what was happening. They were giving what was very good advice for the late 90s, early noughties, and is not very good advice anymore. And it's a weird one, but I would look for somebody who's not too confident in the advice that they're giving, not too certain. Because I think if you are, when people are certain, it's because they've already got the advice. They know what to do. When a child doesn't do this, this is what you do. When a child doesn't do this, the answer is there before they've met the child. And when you are just meeting someone, even if you get a whole week to go into setting and get to know them, you don't, you'd be saying, I think this is what's going on. And you would be leaning into the insights of people who have spent more time with that child. I think this is what's going on. If this is what's going on, then here's what we could do about it, or here's what we could try. But you wouldn't be like, this is what's happening, this is what you do. Because those sorts of certainties stem from a knowledge that exists without that child or that person. And when you are dealing with particular people and it's about particular people, it's coming from, it's person-centered, it's coming from the person, then my faith in a specialist that came in and went, gosh, this is difficult, I'm not really sure if I know, I would listen to that person. So yeah, those would be my filters: contemporary knowledge and the capacity to be uncertain. And that capacity to be uncertain is a tricky one for those professionals who are in workplace environments that demand certainty, where you have to know. So partly that ability to be certain is a confidence, and partly it's a structural thing. But anyway, I'm going to go and watch Judge Judy now and her amazing certainty, because there are places for certainty, and it's on television.